All right, welcome back in Saturday morning here on CBS Sports Radio. It is the Zach Gelb Show. We continue our draft conversation. We're going to head out to Cleveland and talk to Daryl Ruiter, who covers the team of the Cleveland Browns for 92.3 The Fan. Daryl, it's Zach Gelb here on CBS Sports Radio. Appreciate a few minutes. How are you?
My pleasure. Doing well.
Well, let's first start off with the Browns and their offseason before we get to the NFL draft. New general manager in John Dorsey. You also have some big trades, bringing in Jarvis Landry and then paying him in the addition of getting Tyrod Taylor from the Bills. A lot of excitement here from when we get to talk to our national audience and also some folks in Cleveland about the Browns. Just how about that excitement as they get ready for the NFL draft?
Well, John Dorsey has been very busy this offseason, basically remaking this football team that went 0-16 a year ago, 1-31 over the last 2 years, 4-44 the last three. It starts with the quarterback, Tyrod Taylor, getting him in from Buffalo. I'm a believer that had they had competent quarterback play a year ago, they could have won 3 or 4 football games. But Deshaun Kaiser had one of the worst seasons that I've ever seen from a quarterback, partially not his fault. A rookie that was really thrown into the fire with not much to work with as far as weaponry around him. Getting Jarvis Landry in here to help Tyrod Taylor, give him a reliable, dependable target. This is a guy that led the league in receptions last year, 400 catches over 4 seasons, 3-time Pro Bowler. Some will argue not that prolific offensive weapon, but the bottom line, when you throw him the football, he catches it. That's been a problem for the Cleveland Browns the last couple of years, finding receivers who actually can catch the ball when it's thrown to him. Think about Josh Gordon possibly playing 16 games. They brought in Carlos Hyde at running back to help out the running game. So all in all, a very good offseason for John Dorsey as he tries and pulls this franchise out of the ditch.
You say it, possibly playing 16 games for Josh Gordon. We got to see him for 5 last year in the regular season. How do they feel now really relying on him for what could be a full 16-game season for the first time in a long time?
They're really excited. You know, Gordon has been in Cleveland the last couple of weeks. He has stayed out of trouble. He reported for the off-season program on Monday, which is something that he's not been able, obviously, to do these last couple of years. So he's in the building. He looks great from what I've been told. He's working out with his teammates. So that is a big, big bonus for the Cleveland Browns, and they almost have to treat him like that. Unfortunately, because of his past demons with the substance abuse issues, there's always going to be that thought in the back of your head that he could be suspended or have a relapse at any given moment. But right now, the arrows are pointing all in a positive direction as far as Josh Gordon goes, and it's my understanding he's been doing extremely well when it comes to the off-the-field situation.
You take a look at that locker room, and you have a big missing piece from that locker room in Joe Thomas. And I know he got hurt last year, but he's been such a staple, not only in the National Football League, but specifically that Browns locker room. He's meant a lot to that franchise. Who takes that leadership role? Who are some of those leaders on the Cleveland Browns?
That's a great question, and I think, to be honest with you, I think that that's something that's going to have to naturally evolve. I don't necessarily think that anyone right now just automatically steps into that role. I think Tyrod Taylor certainly is a candidate for that. I can tell you Jarvis Landry, I think the Browns, with giving him the big contract extension, they're going to lean on him a little bit to be the pseudo face of the franchise because the Browns have been so bad for so long. Joe Thomas basically became the face of the Browns. And, you know, to your point, the question became, well, who is now the face of the Cleveland Browns with Thomas retired? And I'm going to say Jarvis Landry, as we speak now, is that face of the Cleveland Browns. But as I mentioned, Tyrod Taylor's got an opportunity to step in to that type of role. But again, one of those things that's going to have to naturally evolve as they go through the offseason program, training camp, and get into their season.
We know the Browns have been synonymous with change over what seems like for well over a decade now, as we're talking to Daryl Ruiter from 92.3 The Fan. With Hue Jackson, 1 win in 2 years, why did they feel comfortable in electing to keep Hue Jackson as the head football coach?
I think a couple reasons went into the Browns' decision to keep Hue. First and foremost, what they invested to get him to come to Cleveland and actually take this job. Secondly, the fact that they basically tore the team down around him. It's my understanding Hue was not fully aware that that was actually going to be the plan, that they were going to just gut the roster, get rid of all the veterans, and put a bunch of kids on the field for the first 2 years. So I think that, to be fair to Hue, after tying his hands behind his back with a bunch of kids, they're going to give him an opportunity to see this thing through. If they weren't going to fire him, they would have done it already. I really think that believe that they're committed to him this year. There's some conversation in Cleveland. Well, if they start slowly into the season, 1-4, 1-5, whatever, could he be fired? I don't believe that that's going to be the case. I really believe that the Haslam family is committed to him. I think that the Browns are going to win a couple games this year, and that will give them an opportunity to say things are moving in the right direction, and he'll get that fourth year, but then that fourth year actually becomes the referendum for him.
Not going to hold you to it, but if you had to put a win total, and we don't know how this draft is going to play out yet, but around how many wins maybe does Hue Jackson need to keep his job? Because if he gets one win again, it's very tough to justify what you're saying,
right,
keeping him around.
Yeah, I think 4 to 5 wins needs to be where the bar is set for the Cleveland Browns this year. Just get back to the same level they were before they burned the house down. And that was the 4-12, 5-11 perennial juggernaut that they threw on the field every year. And basically then if hit the reset button, and it'll be on John Dorsey and this front office to get more talent in here and start to push this thing forward. But if they win 4 or 5 games in 2018, you can at least say to your fans, hey, we won 4 games over 3 years. We won 4 games in one season now. Things are moving in the right direction. We can justify sticking with Hue Jackson. To me, anything less than 4, then I think we can have a serious conversation about a coaching change in January. But I think that they will win 4.
0-16 a year ago puts them at the number 1 pick, and then through the trade last year, they also have the number 4 pick this year. Let's start with the 1. It seems like it's down to Darnold or Josh Allen. Who do the Browns take at 1 and why?
It's a great question, and I have no idea. There's pluses and minuses. The one guy I don't hear a lot about is Josh Rosen. So to me, it's down to 3 guys. It's down to Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. And to be perfectly honest with you, I think the Browns could go with either one of those 3 quarterbacks. If I'm John Dorsey, I'm taking Sam Darnold. I think that there's just fewer questions to be asked there. Certainly Josh Allen, he's got the big arm. There are questions about his accuracy and his mechanics. Those concern me. I'm not concerned if you can throw it 80 yards. I want to know how you do throwing 15, 20 yards. That's a little problematic for Josh Allen. And also, you look at the level of competition that he had at Wyoming. In fact, he did not really light things up, against smaller school competition like Carson Wentz was able to do. So that's a little bit of a worry. Baker Mayfield, maturity, size. Those are the 2 things against him. From a pure football standpoint, I love the player. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, I like his confidence. I think you absolutely have to have that. I know that certainly rubs some people the wrong way. They think he's cocky. They think he's disrespectful, has maturity issues, etc. I don't mind a quarterback that has a little swagger that says, hey, I am better than you. And to me, that's what Baker Mayfield does. So I think that one of those 3 quarterbacks could be any of them at this point.
With the uncertainty there, is there still maybe a thought that you wait till 4 to grab one of those quarterbacks and maybe go Barkley 1, or is that not as much of a conversation anymore?
You can't do that if you're the Cleveland Browns. They don't have a choice at this point. They cannot afford to allow the New York Giants and New York Jets to dictate their fate at number 4 and wait on a quarterback. The other thing, as far as Saquon Barkley, you mentioned him, I would absolutely hate that pick for the Cleveland Browns. And that's nothing against Saquon. Tremendous player, was a tremendous joy to watch at Penn State. The problem I have with taking a running back at 1 or even at 4 for the Browns is they already have 2 running backs, Duke Johnson, Carlos Hyde. He'd be in a 3-man rotation. I'm not spending a top 5 draft pick on a player that's going to go into a 3-man rotation. I need a guy that's going to be on the field 50 to 75 plus % of the time. And to me, Saquon Barkley would not fit that where the Browns are concerned, and that's why I'm against Cleveland, at least, selecting him with either of their picks.
I know John Dorsey isn't revealing much and not tipping his hand, but do you think the Browns agree with that sentiment? Because for a while on this program, and we got a lot of callers. A lot of Browns fans are fantasizing about the idea of getting that quarterback at 1 and then finding a way to get Barkley at 4.
Well, I think that the perfect scenario for the Cleveland Browns, I'll leave the quarterback in the best judgment of John Dorsey. To me, the best scenario for the Cleveland Browns is to take Bradley Chubb at 4. I think that getting another stud defensive end in a division in which we have to face Joe Flacco, Ben Roethlisberger 4 times a year, pairing him with Myles Garrett, having Emmanuel Ogbah available to you to rotate in and out for either one of those guys, that really excites me. I know that a lot of fans, Browns fans, want or would love to see Saquon Barkley be picked at number 4, but I still have nightmares about the Trent Richardson situation, and I remember how excited everyone was about Trent Richardson. Certainly Barkley's, I believe, in my opinion, based on what I've watched, I think he's a better player than Richardson was in college, but I don't feel comfortable taking a rotational running back with a top 5 pick when I can get arguably the best or second best player in the draft overall in a Bradley Chubb.
Last one for Daryl Ruiter from 92.3 The Fan, who joins us right now on the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. You're in Cleveland. You know the pulse of that fan base. I'm sure you have fans saying, even though it's a new regime, in the past the Browns have passed up on Carson Wentz and Deshaun Watson recently. Some people say the same old Browns, or some people will be optimistic and think that they're going to get this right at 1 and 4. Just being there, give us a little feel of the Browns fan entering this draft.
Hope springs eternal in April in Cleveland, Ohio, when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. I mean, it is the only time of year that Browns fan can feel good. The time leading up to the draft or the playoffs, and the draft itself is the Super Bowl party every year in Cleveland, Ohio. Unfortunately, it's the biggest event of the year. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You very, very rarely ever see a team have 2 top 5 picks. The Browns also have 33, 35, and 64. This is a draft, quite frankly, that should lay the foundation for the Cleveland Browns to return to contention and be a winner for the next 10 to 15 years if John Dorsey gets it right.
So lock them in for a Super Bowl is what you're telling me. Daryl Ruiter from 92.3 The Fan. We appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.